You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts. Are you ready?
I'm ready. If there are any home noises in the background, I apologize.
That's okay. That brings up a good point, though. People might not know that we're not in the same place usually when we're...
Oh, yeah, we're never looking at each other. It's a recorded phone conversation would be the
Very high tech.
Yeah. I mean, no, we have so much equipment and microphones and a team behind us.
Yeah, that's why we sound so professional all the time.
That's right.
Well, this is episode 14.
Love an even number.
Yeah. I'm actually the opposite. So
that's right. We talked about that.
Yeah.
That's why we make a good team. We cover all the numbers.
That's right. Well, I have a big list. I may not make it through everything, but I definitely want to talk about a few of the books that I'm reading right now. I'm actually in the middle of several, so I just get in a mood.
Yeah.
Start, and then I'll leave that one for another one. And
I hear ya.
I've been doing that a lot lately. It never used to be a habit of mine, but now it really is. So
live your life if it's good. However you see fit. Absolutely. And you're better than I am about actually finishing books when you read like that. Like my downfall is if I read too many books at once, I just will throw in the towel on all of them. So whatever works for you.
Yeah. Well, the first one I want to mention is The Song of Achilles, which is by Madeline Miller, and the same author of Circe, which is our big read selection for the year. And
plug.
You know. The Song of Achilles is sort of a retelling of the Iliad.
Cool.
So, yeah, and it's definitely a retelling from what you would, normally see that has been depicted, like, say, in the movie Troy or in, any other adaptation, pretty much. Sure. Very unique point of view. So,
That's
highly
cool,
recommend it. Yeah. I'm also reading a new one. It hasn't come out yet, but it's coming out soon, by Jonathan Lethem, who I've mentioned a couple times, who wrote Motherless Brooklyn.
Yes. Okay, I was like, wait, where did I hear that name recently?
So he has a book called The Arrest, which is coming out in November, and I'm reading an advanced copy now, and it's back to, like, because I think I may have mentioned that he had a couple of books that I wasn't super crazy about. I've kind of got off that train, but I'm really, really enjoying this one, and it's like it's sort of beyond or different from like your usual post-apocalyptic dystopian novels. It's like all of technology, even guns, everything that's technological just stops working.
Oh.
And so then they have to, all the people that are left have to sort of navigate that. And it's the main character, his nickname is Journeyman. And he had been a screenwriter in Los Angeles before the arrest, with his best friend, and who was like a bigwig in Hollywood. So
okay.
Anyway, I won't say too much about it, but he ends up having been separated from this friend for a long time, and then his friend rolls into town where he is in this like commune type place where they're sort of living off the land. And anyway, so it's
when you say technology stops working, is it literally everything at once, or is it a slow progression, or?
That's a good question. In fact, he actually describes it, because at first he just, it's a little bit vague, and then he says, one day the television just stopped working, and then
No.
the horror.
I know. You didn't say this was a horror book.
And then airplanes fall out of the sky, and then
Oh, okay, that actually is horrific.
yeah, and then guns just stop firing bullets. And he says that
Whoa.
even you can't even make a bullet explode if you hit it with a hammer. So it just like
What?
so it's definitely it's not your usual like somebody did something or the society's fallen apart. It's like more esoteric, I guess, than that.
Right. Oh, wow. Very
So
cool.
yeah, it's really good. And then kind of on a different note, for sure, I'm reading a memoir of the director Ken Kwapis, and
Who is that?
he was a director like for The Office and for a bunch
Oh
of
my gosh. Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
And so the book is, but what I really want to do is direct lessons from the life behind the camera. And I don't know. I've been reading memoirs lately, and I haven't been super excited about any of them.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, this is really good. He seems like a cool guy.
Cool.
It's funny. You got some behind the scenes kind of action. So
Yeah. Oh, that is neat. That's something I'd never. Yeah. Someone I would never think about. Like again, that name sounded familiar to me.
well, yeah. I mean, he's not a huge name. I mean, he's
No.
directed big things, but he's not like known in wider circles. So
Right. Well, cool.
but it's cool. How about you?
Well, I'm still working on the same. I haven't switched gears on any books from last week. So I have strictly television again. What would I do if my television stopped working? So are you ready to switch gears to TV?
Yeah.
I don't. Okay.
Yeah.
First thing I recommend, well, depending on your humor, I suppose. Michelle Wolf, she came out with a new stand-up special on Netflix last year, and I just totally missed it. It's called Joke Show.
Oh, it's good.
It was so funny. I just I really love her humor. It's really crass. So if you're not down with crass, don't watch it. But I mean, it's a lot of like my favorite thing she spoke about was just generally talking about how, like, I don't know, people generally think that men are the grosser sex and it's just not true. Women are disgusting, and it's true. So
not me. I don't know.
Do what?
Not me. Sorry.
Oh, no. You're a princess, but I'm disgusting. So but I really like her humor and her delivery. And so that's Michelle Wolf's Joke Show. I also watched, this is really switching gears, on Disney Plus. There's a documentary called Howard about Howard Ashman, who is a name that I really wasn't familiar with until I'd say within the last, couple of years. But he is pretty much, I don't know, the person or main person responsible for creating the main movies were The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. He sort of came in and rescued, from what I understood, kind of rescued those productions. He wrote all of the music. And I think, when they were initially working on The Little Mermaid, when he came in, the character Sebastian the crab, they had him as sort of this like sort of uppity butler type who was very like I don't know, highbrow. And he came in and was like, well, let's make him Jamaican. And for anyone familiar with that movie, I just Sebastian is one of the stars of the show. And I don't know, it was really cool. Those movies were a big part of my childhood, and it was really cool just to see. He was really a force to be reckoned with, and had a vision and wouldn't settle for less. And he died from AIDS toward the, I guess they had just put, Beauty and the Beast had just been shown in one of the big film festivals and done really well. And so he died. He was able to learn that right before he passed away. So I don't know. It was a really lovely documentary. So that's called Howard on Disney Plus. And then I went HBO crazy after that. I went back to Perry Mason and finished it last weekend. It was awesome. I'm really ready for the next season. I feel like they did a cool job of, I don't know, setting it up for what they're going to cover next season. I also started The Sopranos.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So my fiance watched it last year, and I would watch bits and pieces with him, and I knew it was good. It was just one of those things where, like, he kept watching it when I wasn't around, and I was like, well, you know, I'm not going to jump in now. So I decided to start it, and I can't stop watching it. It is so good. I mean, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, to not only you, but everyone who's listening. It's just such a wonderful show. The concept of a mob boss going to therapy is one of my favorite things ever in the world to watch. The acting is beautiful. Every person in the cast is just, it's perfect. I actually read that James Gandolfini, like, throughout filming that show, they said he was reached out to by multiple, quote, wise guys, as they put it, and told him how great a job he did and how realistic it was.
That's pretty
and I know. And in the pilot episode, I guess James Gandolfini is wearing shorts in a scene or something, and he said some wise guy reached out to him and said that would, like, never wear shorts again. That's unrealistic. Like, and apparently they work that into a later episode. Somebody wears shorts and they tell him not to wear shorts. Anyway, that it's such an amazing show. And I've only gotten through most of the first season. So that'll be, a really fun ride. And then last thing, I started a new series on HBO. The first episode premiered last Sunday. It's called Lovecraft Country. And did you try it? Did you start it?
It's on my list.
Okay.
It's intriguing looking.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was about, really. But I'm excited for it. It's sci-fi, it's historical. It's really shows some pretty disgusting sides of racism, and honestly, I'm learning things from conversations that are being had right now, and so I'm learning a lot of things that I didn't learn in school, not surprisingly. So I think that's a really wonderful thing to, be able to hear those stories, and that those stories are being told. But then they throw some crazy sci-fi in. So I'm excited to see where that's going to go.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that one too.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what you think.
Well,
so that's What have you been watching?
Well, actually, a lot of stuff. In fact, I've watched a couple of movies, which has been unlike me lately.
Nice.
But I'll start with the TV shows. I watched the new Twilight Zone.
Oh, fun!
And it's been pretty fun. I think there's actually 2 seasons. I'm totally, like, spaced out.
I had no idea there was another. I watched a few to several episodes of the first season, and I had no idea there were more. So I need to catch up.
Yeah, the only thing for me, I love Jordan Peele, and he's like the the narrator that he introduces each episode. But he's so goofy looking. He's like, intoning about the Twilight Zone. But he just looks like he's about to crack up all the time.
That's what I was about to say. I feel like he's doing a bit.
Yes.
And I don't know if he's definitely, it's not a bit. And I feel like I keep waiting for, like, the part. Yeah.
Exactly. So it does, even if they would be kind of creepy, and some of them are kind of creepy, some of them are real cheesy, like the original.
Yeah, totally.
It's definitely worth watching. I also, this is a special that I watched a while back that I never have mentioned. It's Middleditch and Schwartz. Have you seen that?
No, I think you mentioned it to me, or I heard somebody else. Anyway, I need to watch it.
Well, yeah, it's two actors. Thomas Middleditch, I think, was in here
The
I am
HBO.
the
Oh my gosh.
HBO
I keep
funny tech show.
Silicon Valley.
Yes, thank you.
I kept wanting to call it Pied Piper. Anyway.
Exactly, it's Pied Piper. And they just like do completely live like skit show reacting to stuff that they get fed from the audience. So that's like nothing is rehearsed.
Yeah.
And anything like that, even if it's not the most clever or the funniest, it has like that energy that you just kind of go along with,
Absolutely. That's a good point. That's something I really like about improv.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I would
cool.
definitely watch that. And then a show that I started watching and then stopped. It's kind of like the Twilight Zone in that it's kind of each episode is sort of standalone, kind of. It's called Room 104 and it's on HBO.
Oh my gosh, I like almost started watching that. I was so close to just pressing play, and I didn't. And maybe I should have, but I'm also excited to hear what you have to say about it. So
yeah, well, there's some of them are just bizarre. It's like it's all takes place in this supposed to be like the same hotel room.
Okay, right.
But then there's big dramatic stuff that happens in each episode, and it's like I think the latest one I watched, it was like I wrote down that it's Russian mob rap, and so I'll just leave it at that. But
I'm hooked.
Yeah, exactly. But there are some, like I said, just like with the Twilight Zone, there are some that are just not very good, and then some that are really intriguing. So
cool.
Yeah,
I'll give it a shot. No, I'm here for it.
Yeah. I also watched Little Women, the new adaptation of that.
Did you like it?
I did. I was not expecting to.
Okay, yeah, because I think I gave like a really glowing review after I watched it.
Well, then that's not why I didn't expect to like it.
No. I was like, I didn't want to be like, isn't it amazing? And you were like, eh.
Yeah. No, it's really good. The casting is brilliant.
It really was.
And they switch up the structure. The story is told in kind of a more modern way.
Which kind of confused me at first. It took me, maybe I'm just slow, but it took me a second to sort of realize what the differences were. Yeah. But go ahead.
No, it shakes it up. It makes it fresher,
Right.
Because I feel like everybody's seen at least some of the adaptations of that, I think the last one was in 1994.
Yeah, and I really love that version. Like I grew up watching that one, and so I don't know. I wasn't against anything when this one came out, but I was just kind of like, okay, like I like the the cast. I like who's in it, and I like Greta Gerwig a lot. She did Lady Bird, which I really loved. So anyway, I ended up being really pleasantly surprised too. I really loved it.
Yeah, I thought that that pretty much everybody was sort of spot on in terms of the casting and how they handled the characters and everything. Yeah. But I do have to say that Christian Bale is a better Laurie than
I agree. I feel like Timothée Chalamet is a little bit. He's a baby.
He's a baby. I'm willing to fight somebody about that because that's.
I totally agree. No,
the whole time I was like,
"You're a baby." Like I don't know. He just seems. I don't know. Like, I wasn't convinced that he was who like swept
Pretty much all of them. Yeah.
off of their feet. I know
Yeah.
exactly. Like, oh, this little twerp over here.
And he did a good job. Like, I mean, it wasn't
Oh,
that he's a bad actor. It
he's
just,
a talented person.
yeah,
Exactly.
just didn't quite
Um,
bring it.
the person who blew me away, and I can never remember her name, who played Beth. She's also in Sharp Objects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have only ever seen her in those two things, Sharp Objects
Yeah,
and
me too.
this. And she plays, I mean,
The opposite.
fully opposite people. Yeah. And she just nails both of them. I
Yeah.
was really blown away. Yeah,
It took me a long time to place her because she's so
yeah,
different
I mean,
from what
she
she is.
looks completely different. And I mean, I feel like even if she had looked exactly the same, it would have been hard to place her because she did such a great job of transforming herself as a person, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it was pretty remarkable for sure.
Well, good. I'm glad you watched that.
Yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed it. And then after that, like you sort of, you know, uplifting ending movie, I watched a documentary on Margaret Atwood, and
Oh, cool.
it's called "A Word After a Word After a Word Is Power,"
Cool.
and she
Good
says
title.
that yeah, in it she says that she never, and she's like 80 years old now.
I was going to ask that. I didn't know if she was alive. I'm afraid I'm kind of embarrassed to say that. But
Yeah, right. She's kicking. She's okay. Um, but she talks about how she never thought she would be a popular writer, but she just wanted to be a good one.
yeah.
And I didn't know much about her biographically, but um, the people that spoke, like she seems like a sort of mild mannered, demure person
Mhm.
in anything that I've seen about
Mhm.
her. But apparently, people that know her knew her. She was pretty hard case. Like she was, you know, like a tough
Nice.
broad. And so it was really interesting. And in fact, recently somebody was telling me that they had been at some kind of retreat or some, it must be a retreat or a conference or something, where she
Mhm.
was also in attendance.
Mhm.
And that nobody called her Margaret. They either called her in the movie they called her Peggy, but I want to say that she had people call her Madge or Marge or something, you know, some like
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
shortened name, and that she like cooked everybody eggs for breakfast and was just like the opposite of what you would imagine of this person who's written I think
Wow.
60 books or something along that. I mean, she's written a
Wow.
lot. Yeah. She's very prolific.
Oh my
She,
gosh. Cool.
the best part for me, because I love A Handmaid's Tale,
Mhm.
and the best part for me of the documentary is when she's talking about that. And there's well, before that, there's a quote that I remember, um, like recording at some point, like, you know, writing
Mhm.
it down. And
Mhm.
it's a little, well, I'll tell you, and then, you know, you can be like, but,
I'm ready.
she writes and I can't even remember the source, but she writes, "You fit into me like a hook in an eye, a fish hook, an open eye." And so it's like this
Oh my gosh.
twist, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's so visceral. Anyway,
Ah,
but that's like the best part of her writing, you know.
oh my
Uh,
gosh. I want to burn somebody with that so bad.
exactly.
You think I'm
That is a burn.
sweet, but I'm not.
Yes, exactly. And I think you and I both suffer from that personally. Everybody thinks that we're
Yeah.
super sweet and nice,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
But
haha,
anyone
we
who
have a
listens to
full.
this podcast knows differently.
So she's talking about writing *A Handmaid's Tale*, and she says about how hard it was and how she was actually scared writing it. That
Oh, wow.
she was, and I've read this before, but it's worth repeating, that she said that um, nothing that happens in *A Handmaid's Tale* is something that's not happened somewhere. So
Right.
even at the time, like
Yeah.
uh, so that makes it even more chilling. Like, she
Yes, it,
didn't just
oh my
make this stuff up.
gosh.
It was all taken from something that happened somewhere.
And it's good, which means it's going to anger somebody. You're stepping on toes somehow.
Right. Yes.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even just those two mentions are so powerful. That quote, and yeah, just thinking about that. I don't know, the idea of writing something even though you're in fear. I don't know. I just think that's it's like unexpectedly brave, I guess, is what
Yeah. I mean,
it's because it's quiet, but you still are like, it's almost like you're waiting. I'm putting this out there, just you wait. I have to. I don't know.
yeah, no, exactly. And we, it reinforces how much words have power in the,
Yeah.
and we know, working in a library, how powerful and meaningful books are to
Right.
people, and, um, in positive ways and negative ways, both,
Right. Right.
Um, so yeah, I would strongly recommend that. It's a really good documentary,
Very cool.
and then it reminded me, there's a show that's based on another of her books called Alias Grace, and it's directed by Sarah Polley, who I love.
I thought you were going to
And
say Sarah Paulson, and I was like, wait, when was that
yeah.
made? She directs?
um, no, yeah, it's based on an actual story of a woman who was imprisoned. Anyway, I won't
Mhm.
get too far into that because it's something that I started a while back, and it's very dark, and so
Mm.
I kind of put it aside, but I'm gonna revisit it since I was reminded about it from that
Yeah.
documentary. And
Very
then,
cool.
yeah, I also wanted to mention, because we've talked a lot about um, the videos on the Bon Appetit YouTube and all that.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really unfortunate for the last couple of months. It's the company that runs the videos is a different company from the publisher of the magazine. And
Okay.
so all of these people that worked for the magazine were then sort of contracted to do these videos.
Okay.
Um, well, and there's quite a few of them, at least a dozen different um, people who are, doing these different segments and stuff.
Right.
And that it became to light that all of the people of color were either not getting paid for their videos or getting paid a lot less than the
Oh
other people.
no.
Yeah. So I was so bummed out, but
Ugh.
it was sort of, well, I don't know. Everybody that had anything to do with it really came out strongly in support
Mhm.
of the their coworkers,
Yeah.
and some of them just ended up, when they couldn't make the contracts work, they just ended up quitting. And some of the people who had been fairly
Right.
paid and everything, they also sort of in solidarity quit too. So
Wow.
yeah, um, so
Well,
I thought
good.
I would bring that up because that's been a big bummer,
Oh
in a
man,
lot
I
of
hope.
ways.
Yeah, I hope that that's a wrong that will be righted. My goodness.
I know. I mean, they tried. They went into contract negotiations, and apparently they wouldn't bend. So
That is why. Just why.
I know.
Maybe
It,
this is a conversation for outside the podcast, but all
well, yeah,
right.
we could go on about that for a long time. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because that had been something that
Yeah.
I had really been enjoying, and they're all super cool people. But
Yeah. What a bummer.
oh no. And then I'll sort of wrap up with a more cheerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the first podcasts I ever listened to that got me into podcasts was
Mhm.
Doug Loves Movies.
You
And
told me about Doug Loves Movies.
yes, and
I need to go find it.
it's Doug Benson. He's a comedian. He has people on. They're all super knowledgeable about movies. Like, I mean, they're way bigger movie nerds than me. So
And you are a big movie nerd.
I'm a
And that's a
big movie nerd.
super compliment, by the way.
Um, well, but him and Chris Hardwick both, when he first had podcasts, like that's
Mm-hmm.
now it's like it's a long time ago, 15 years, I guess. I don't know,
Oh
but they're
my
both
gosh.
still rolling. So those are definitely podcasts I would
Cool.
recommend. And then the last thing is something we haven't done this in a little while, but what's making me happy this week
Oh, yes.
is Spark Notes on social media.
Oh my gosh.
Have you seen any of these?
No, but do
Oh,
tell.
yeah. So, I mean, when I was a kid, we had Cliff's Notes,
Uh-huh.
but then, more companies came out. And so Spark Notes, but they have
Uh-huh.
some genius behind their social media campaigns. And they tell like, really stripped down and goofy retellings of the plots of, classic like
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Shakespeare and stuff. And it is hilarious. So you should definitely follow Spark Notes, which I think is such a weird sentence to say, but
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I was
um,
like, okay, what do you have for me right now?
you will not be sad. You will
Cool.
thank me for checking out Spark Notes
I
on
definitely will.
Twitter, or they have are on Facebook too. Either way.
Cool.
But yeah, so that's my week. Anything that you want to
Oh
add?
yeah, that's making me happy this week.
Yeah.
Well, so my sister is coming to visit this weekend. She and her boyfriend have been super quarantined for going on 6 months now.
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, they're gonna come and say hey to the family. We're gonna have some social distanced family time. And I think she's going to help me organize my house a little bit because I walk into a room and completely freeze up. So, yeah, I'm really excited for that. So
Nothing better than family and organizing.
I'm telling you, she is truly my other half in that way. I mean, we really work well in that capacity. So, really excited about organizing. Didn't expect didn't expect that to be the thing making me happy this week.
It's such a good thing for your mental health, I think, because
Yes,
and we've talked about it, that my mental health is reflected in my surroundings, and so
truly.
if my house is a disaster, you can pretty much know what's
Yep.
going on in my
You
life.
don't even have to ask me how I am.
And likewise, getting it cleaned up makes you feel so much better. So
It does. And every time I do, I'm like, why didn't I do this before? I don't
mm-hmm.
I don't understand. But so here we go.
Yeah, so enjoy your weekend.
Thank
Kick it
you.
off
You
right.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that goes out to everybody,
Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
all of our multitude of listeners.
That's right. Both of you.
Right. We should just start naming them all.
I know. Just give personal shout outs.
We actually can't see who it is, unfortunately, so you'll have to tell us if you're
Okay, yeah. Tell us if you're a listener. But
all right.
anyway.
Well, we'll sign off and we'll see you next week.
Cool. Bye, guys.
Bye.